Well, we're very thankful for the hard work of the local chambers of commerce, the medical professionals, you name it, that we're going to be affected by this unfair tax changes that were being proposed. And it was because of the loud voices by those groups. We were pushing it very hard in Parliament, and as you know, the consultation period started during the summer when Parliament wasn't sitting, when people weren't paying attention, and there was about 2 weeks of sitting time with Parliament that we had before the consultation period ended. And so we were able to, I think, team up very well and amplify the voices of those being affected and raise the awareness and the temperature, and that the government backed down. And they also cut the small business tax rate from 11 to 9%, which was welcome. They actually had promised that in their campaign. All three parties had promised that during their campaign. The two budgets, they had backed off on it. So I think that was almost, they were guilted into, they had to do something to save face. And so they brought this out. So, I guess it was a small win. We still have a very competitive tax rate here in Canada. My preference, although we, the Conservative Party did run on that in election as well, I would have preferred more of a tax on maybe an income tax cut instead, reducing payroll taxes, because we don't want to tax jobs. Right. That would have been my preference, but any tax that is lowered is a good thing in my books.
And I guess, when we look at the whole tax regime of Canada, but then we also hear that our neighbors to the south, the U.S., is starting to look at changing their tax regime. Now, they're at a very higher level than we are, but if they start looking at cutting their corporate taxes, that does have an impact here in Canada.
Absolutely, it has a huge impact, because as you know, where the discrepancy is in the state taxes compared to our provincial taxes. A number of states don't have state taxes, and that is where the difference will be. So last I heard, the Americans were thinking of bringing it down to about 20%. Yeah. So if that happens and their state tax are a lot lower than ours, and we have such things, we have a carbon tax now, so that raises the price of everything. We have, I think, a pile of regulation and red tape that we need to trim down. We are going to be very uncompetitive very quickly. Now, we are doing fairly well now with our economy, and a lot has to do with the fact that the American economy is going very well, and the fact that our dollar is very lucrative to a number of our exports. So that is saving us at the moment for sure. So, but it does look into the long term that if we keep increasing taxes, increasing red tape, increasing regulation, it's going to make companies probably think twice, mostly about if they're looking to start one up and start from the ground up. That will, be a major factor. Those looking to relocate, that's kind of a different conversation. But it is pretty scary when people notice a change, in one country, and we have free trade, so $1 billion of goods move across that border every day. So there are a lot of pieces to this puzzle, and our goal, or at least the official opposition goal, is to ensure that Canada is as competitive as possible, because it is private sector jobs that fuel the economy.